The smart lock code redeemed at 1:13 a.m. The name assigned wasn't mine. I'm not jealous of bodies, I'm jealous of credentials. Bodies tell the truth if you stop staging them. Credentials decide which truth is allowed to arrive. At 1:13 a.m., the smart home app sent me the kind of cheerful cruelty only software has perfected. Temporary code 4 used, front door access granted. Under it, the label I had typed 6 months ago for a plumber who never showed. Guessed, Kieran. I hadn't deleted it. Kieran had never used it, until the night decided to write itself in digits I'd forgotten were a door. Eli had texted at 10:46, bored, wants one more drink. Don't wait up. He handles donors the way a bartender handles ice, competently, pretending not to mind the cold. At 7:05 I'd filmed the coffee because ritual is cheaper than religion and keeps better hours. I captioned it here. He reacted with the thumbs up he reserves for hours that plan to rename themselves. The lock didn't rename anything, it confessed. I put the phone face down because I was tired of performing bravery with my eyes. The apartment had the posture rooms get when they've rehearsed a story without you. The radiator breathed like an amateur chorus. The hallway practiced neutrality. I boiled water because water doesn't audition. The kettle sang, stubborn and earnest, a spine you can set a knight against. At 3:02 the physical lock cleared its throat. The door opened and Eli stepped in with his tie loosened, his jacket over his shoulder and his shoes hooked by 2 fingers like witnesses too tired to lie. He smelled like lime and a decision made in decent lighting. He kissed the air near my cheek, our administrative truce, and then saw the notification still lit on the counter. His pupils turned into clocks, the little dilation that arrives right before he chooses a verb. "You're up," he said, as if etiquette had mailed me a warning. "Kieran's code works," I said. "News to me." Eli set the shoes on the mat like he was surrendering tiny boats. He put both palms flat on the table the way our therapist taught us when we wanted to give words somewhere to land. The gesture is either dignity or triage. "Which question?" he asked. "Why or who?" "Why," I said, because Matt, my emergency adult, kicks me under imaginary tables when I lead with names. If I start with who, the lock gets to write our minutes. Eli looked at the patch of wall where the paint keeps wanting to retire without ceremony. "Because the part wasn't coming," he said. "Because donors clapped in the wrong places and asked to be forgiven with gin. Because rehearsal rooms have bad air and the lark had worse. Because Kieran's couch knows my spine and Kieran knows how to let a silence be kind. Because the rain was pretending to be theater. Because I forgot the code existed until the dark remembered it for me." "Did you kiss him?" I asked, breaking Matt's superstition like a boy with a stick and a fence. "In the kitchen once," he said, "small and honest and wrong. I turned the light off because the bulb made the wrong thing look gentle. I came home." "I hate how sane that sounds," I said, which is the sentence I use when mercy shows up before I find the tone to hold it. We didn't sleep. We did something more humiliating and useful. We agreed to go to Kieran's at noon, when cities pretend to be merciful. The rain had rinsed the block of its bravado. Kieran's building smelled like a citrus apology. The buzzer was unnecessary. The door was propped by a flyer for a gallery closing that was already past. Kieran opened before I knocked. He looked like a photograph that had decided to perform humility, sweatshirt, bare feet, a mug that made steam into a reasonable argument. He saw us both and didn't pretend surprise, my favorite trick in men who owe a room honesty. "I was coming to apologize," he said, "to you both, and to whatever part of the night thinks locks are suggestions." He held up his hands the way good predators do when they want you to count your knives alone. "He loves you," Kieran said to me. "I like being near that. I'm sorry my house uses the same grammar as desire. You don't get to call it our grammar, I said, because cleverness is my superstition and I tithe when I'm anxious. Rehearsal is a room, a kiss is a scene, a code is a key. You don't get to be the verb in our kitchen. Eli didn't look at Kieran. He looked at me with the exact weight of a man deciding which door deserved his mouth. I want open windows, he said, not open doors. We left with nothing more dramatic than the stairwell trying to volunteer absolution. At home, I moved the kitchen chair into the middle of the floor because procedures save men when gods won't. Eli smiled like a man relieved to be caught kindly. He came around the table and paused, always that pause, his most decent habit. I met him halfway. The first kiss was apology without speeches. The second slid his fingers under my shirt and my hand to the back of his neck, the place he keeps for oaths and sleep. We didn't perform a ceremony, we used heat as a system. If I could draw you the rest without getting evicted by an algorithm that prefers virtue louder than accuracy, I would. You can have breath that belonged to both of us, a belt resigning with grace, a wrist pinned with permission and not claim. The room did not applaud. It didn't need to. The city prefers quizzes. 2 nights later, the Lark's social account posted a carousel at 1:41 a.m. Hand saw light on a mirrored corridor, 4 bodies if you counted reflections. Eli washing his hands, head down, Kieran behind him, tie undone, a stranger passing like a rumor, me in the doorway because whoever posted had tagged my name. The caption said boys being brave. Comments did what comments do. I typed nothing. I turned the phone face down. I put the chair back in the middle of the kitchen and sat until I could laugh. Eli came home and handed me his phone without instructions. Delete or archive, he said. I don't want new grammar. You don't need me to erase your verbs, I said. He rested his forehead against mine like a paperweight on a better draft. 3 days later, the email arrived with fonts that have never had to apologize to a kitchen. Residency, 7 days, quiet rooms, kind windows. Eli forwarded the PDF with every map attached, which is how you know a man has learned where courage keeps its receipts. I want to go without disappearing, he wrote. I'll send pages, not alibis. When I get back, ask me what I wrote before what I did. I taped 2 lines under the lemon magnet because props still save us when God is off shift. Addresses in the open. A good night here voice note every day. He added a third in his careful mess. If an I can't is coming, it happens where both of us are. Night 1, wind and a sentence I decided to believe. Today the table forgave me. Night 3, nothing and my thumb became the worst teenager in the world. I opened the smart home app and stared at the list of codes like a squadron of poor decisions that had survived the first battle. I deleted guest, Kieran. I renamed guest, plumber to guest, later. I moved the chair instead. At 8:12, Eli called with a voice that made the kettle think there might be a God. I almost kissed a window, he said. It didn't know your name, I closed the blinds. He came back with a suitcase that didn't slam and 2 pages he treated like animals. They're not good, he said. They're mine, I said, and we performed our small religion. Paper, kettle, a room that knows it isn't a lobby. He slid his hands under my shirt from behind, slower than contrition, faster than nostalgia. Here, he said into the bend of my neck, which is the only word left that has never demanded witnesses. We tried boring. We failed gracefully. We tried again. Kieran learned to stand at the back of the house with his arms crossed like a man paying the bill he owes himself. He clapped exactly once after the kiss on preview night. He didn't text. Neither did we. The lock behaved until it remembered it was software and not virtue. At 12:01 a.m., 2 weeks after we'd cleaned the codes, my phone buzzed like a mouth learning to gossip again. Temporary code 5 created Eli's guest. Voice control. Enabled, location, front door. I hadn't created it. The app said the command came from the living room speaker. The transcript was crisp as a receipt. Hey home, set up a new code for Eli's guest. Name it pause guest 5. I walked to the living room. The speaker's ring was calm and cruel, the way a practiced liar can be polite. Eli unlocked the door at 12:19 with his own digits and stepped in damp from the sudden rain. He saw the light on the speaker and then me, and then the old clock in his pupils tried to buy the minute again. I told the room to give a friend somewhere warm while I ran back for his bag, he said. I shouldn't have. I wanted to be kind and tidy at the same time. To whom, I asked, kindness has nouns. To a man who was shivering, he said, not speaking the name like that would keep it from becoming part of the room. To a mistake I didn't want to repeat by making it bigger. You brought the night into the house, I said. It didn't have shoes. He put his hands on the table. Which question, he asked. Why or who? Who, I said, finally paying the superstition its due. Kieran, he said, and the name didn't even bother to pretend. He called for a ride. The storm made plans for him and he asked me to wait. I made a code and then I deleted it. He didn't use it. He took the car service from the corner because the house started to feel like a test I didn't want to fail. Did you kiss him? I asked, performing the last ritual because rituals are safer than stories. In the doorway, he said. He kissed the rain goodbye. I kissed the deadbolt the word no. I came upstairs. I moved the chair. We sat. We breathed. We did the humiliating arithmetic where two people choose to be an address rather than an alibi. No speeches. Just the small machinery of hands discovering how to be decent again. Heat is not a moral, it's a system. We used it like men who finally remember what it's for. Weeks alter even honest bruises. The lock logs kept their little talent for cheerful cruelty. The speaker learned to mind its name. The city kept making rooms that wanted to pronounce us. I kept the kettle and the chair we move when words try to riot. If another night offers me a credential with the kind of honesty nobody asked for, a code misremembered by a house that thinks it knows our verbs, a transcript with our worst pause printed on it, a hand on a back that isn't mine easing a man toward a door that refuses to be neutral, I hope I remember the handful of humiliating, useful acts that got us through this one. Put water on. Ask why before who. Hold the breath before contact and let it finish being the scene. Then wait for the lock's small throat clearing, like it's the first note in a song we can still tune to. We didn't get away with anything. We stayed. We are still staying. When Eli says here, my body has stopped auditioning for suspicion. The codes can keep their digits, the rain can keep its absolutions, the lobby can keep its glass. We'll keep being the address, or, on the nights we can't, we'll be the map that admits its misprints and still draws the way back. Past the door that thinks it's a verb, past the elevator's red dot that loves its own memory, into a kitchen where a chair knows what it's for, a kettle sings at 7:05, and two hands that have done worse learn again how to touch without asking the night to edit.